How are we, people? 2 seconds. Right. So, what's happening today? He's doing people, he's alright. Gav is going to join me in about half an hour, 45 minutes or so. So, Gav's obviously got what he wants to say in regards to things that have been happening previously. I'm just going to put a line under it and say, no bother, Merrill. I see that's just come through there. I'll catch up with you soon, man. So I'm just going to put a line under it. I've said what I've said. I've heard my concerns. The people are starting to act like they don't know what I'm talking about. And ooh, poor me's and all this fucking garbage. I heard my concerns. And all people are focusing on is playing the victim and, you know, paying me's ability. So I can't be bothered with it. People, if you're discerning enough, you should be able to see through this cack. None of these people are actually focusing in on the concerns and what I was actually highlighting. But hey-ho. So anybody who may come across this that's new, flat earth does not mean a pizza dish flying about fucking space. Flat earth, the term used here, simply means that the earth is not a globe. It's absolute bollocks. None of yous want to buy into any of that. There is absolutely no measurable proof for this fear. It's totally absurd. It's no scientific. There's nothing about a globe. Only images on a screen. That's it. I'm not going to waste too much time on the usual narrative in regards to the globe. I can't be bothered with it. It's too far gone now. And I can't believe that there's still people who are trying to cling desperately to a fucking sphere. It's preposterous, absurd nonsense. Right? So, you just need to bear with me. I'm not here yet. I'm just getting my bearings. What's going on? No, there's a comment just come in. If the flashing of the... What's this? A wee second here. There's a comments. Just got a comment in Maxi Power 69 2 minutes ago. 1 hour 20 and 34 seconds. If the flashing of the double devil's horn is a secret communication between Satanists, then there is nothing else to say. Strange. Russian Vids, my personal mentor in occult signs and symbols. Spelt signs as in signs. Also here supporting this channel. Let me have a wee look. Maxi Power. 1 hour 20 and 34 seconds. One hour 20 and 34 seconds. Let me see. Play. Oh, right, because I pointed like that. This means something. This shite as well. I mean, what is wrong with people? You know? Oh, everybody's horns, everything, any movements that people make, you go to study it, just in case they flash some occult secret meaning that means something that I've still to fathom out. I don't know what the fuck's going on with people. How you doing, Bill? I see you just messaged me. No, Dan lives in Scotland. Bill's asking, you know, how quickly Dan managed to get back to Poland. No, he lives here in Scotland, mate, just up the road there. So, hang on a minute, I'll screen share and show what this commenter's talking about here. A wee second. Screen share. Let me just see here, 2 secs. Right, there you go. There you go. There it is. That is the secret hand gesture that tells you that Del Boy, the Shed Man, is a satanic fucking whatever. Do you know what? I've just not got the energy for any of that bollocks anymore. I really haven't. It's just fucking boring. Right? This is the problem with people. They focus in on innate bullshit, like fucking hand gestures and whatever else. There might be clubs with funny handshakes and whatever else going on, but what does anybody actually know about what it really, when it really comes down to it, what's it about? Yeah? If you're going to come from a religious point of view, you're going to say it's Satan worship and this, that, and the other. Well, you know, I don't come from any religious stance. I don't believe in a fucking evil, invisible bad guy, and I don't believe in a do-good and good, loving, invisible good guy. Right? There might very well be metaphysical things going on, right? But they're metaphysical. That means we're not in touch with them. You don't know what the fuck's going on, if there is anything, in some invisible place. Right? So, what will I do? I need to tie my hands behind my back just to make sure that I don't upset anybody. Oh dear. So, anyway, before I get into I'm just going to have a wee look at some of the comments that are coming through from absolute muppets like GCSE, who still is running about the comment section thinking that he had some sort of victory. Listen, mate, you're just an absolute tool. You have absolute no understanding whatsoever of your own flawed logic and reasoning. You have a lack of understanding of what real science actually is. When you're offering stuff to us and shouting over the top of us, it's not conducive to a progressive discussion. So you're a fucking moron from the off. And when you're offering up your bullshit, you're putting in assumptions in your argumentation and not addressing the assumptions, which was put to you so many times. You're an absolute buffoon, sonny boy. The Globe is childish, cartoon, culty nonsense, and you can go ahead and be part of that. But there's a real thing happening here. Real people are not accepting it anymore. So you can keep up the pretense, you can keep up the fucking act and try and drag people into this false fucking debate and argumentation. It's absolute lunacy. There's nothing about the Globe that can be demonstrated in any practical way whatsoever. There is nothing that you can offer up as any way, shape or form as measurement that you live on a nature-defying sphere. So fuck off, okay? You never won anything. The reason the Hangout was deleted was because you handed the link to one of your wee fucking cult disciple members and they came in and they played porn on it. Do you forget about that? Did that just slip your mind? Anybody else that's been involved in anything that I've brought up over the last week, please feel free to come and join me and have a discussion about whatever you like. The female Roxanne Glenn, who's now running about, this is the same ploy with these narcissistic people, these game players. They just always resort to, poor me, oh, what have I done wrong? And what has John Smith done wrong? And oh, we're so upset by the big bad man in the shed. We don't know what's happening. And all I've said is good things. You're not actually listening to what the fuck I said. None of you are actually coming back with anything about the concerns that were raised and the points that were being made. All that has happened is that somebody's shown their face, which, by the way, was never anything that was said here about, oh, show your fucking face. I was told that the face would be shown. I never made it an issue. Don't give a fuck if he showed his face or no. That's not what I'm raising a concern about. I made the points and the concerns that I had, and that's based on direct experience of these people and their shenanigans. None of that ever gets focused on. All they do is play the victim and try and sweep you under the rug like you're just some crazy bad guy. We all just want unity over in this corner here, and this big fucking ruffian, he's upsetting that. I don't want to talk about it in public. No. Why the fuck would you create a channel? Why the fuck would you create a channel, get involved in the public, and then nobody open for public discussion? Well, I mean, anyway, I'm going to leave that for the time being, and we'll bring it back up when Gav comes in. What I was going to do was have a wee look at some of the comments. I've kind of shied away from it. Anybody that knows me, I've just got a lack of interest in having to respond to fucking 300 comments and whatever else. That doesn't mean to say I don't appreciate people's input and whatever it is they're putting there in the comments. It's not that, I'm just negating people and sweeping them aside. I'm just a guy with family and life to live. I've not got the time to sit and respond. And then once it gets to 200-300 comments, I mean, who the fuck's got time to sit and respond to all that? I certainly don't. I would just much rather have discussions with people in person or on here or whatever it is. That's the way I can operate. It's much better, and you get things understood a lot clearer when you do that. So let me just have a wee look-see here, right? People in the chat. John James, Pat Mustard, Stephen Crumley, John Wick, Dances with Zombies. And yet when we question our physical reality, they waste 3 years of their pathetic lives on YouTube name-calling without producing any proof. Don't know what you're talking about. That's what it's about, Meryl. Common sense. Look, this is the thing. I'm not interested in this us against them and John Smith and all these fucking people. I've made it very clear. I've aired my concerns. I've expressed my experience of these people and what I see happening, and that's it. I want to sever any association with any other movement and any other, groups that they're involved in, because that's not me, and that's why I done what I done. That's that end of story. Let them run about playing victim. And again, I've had Rock Vibrations and I've had Laura Fuker, who, people like Laura Fuker who were involved with these characters back when I raised concerns a while ago. Remember, if anybody doesn't remember, I raised my concerns about these wee groups being organised and what this character was really up to. And I was attacked viciously again, en masse, boom, because you're speaking your mind. They don't like that. Right, but now we've got people like Laura Fuker coming forward and saying these people that she's talking about, the people that I had concerns about, saying they're not what they're made out to be, and they're whispering in ear holes about certain people. I don't partake in any of that. Right, I don't run about Chinese whispering behind people's backs. If I've got a concern, I may discuss it with somebody, and then I'll go straight to the source and I'll air my concern, or I'll say it out publicly. So you have to ask yourself why that's happening, because the same thing was professed, kumbaya, and we're all the best of buddies and hugs and cuddles. And then a few months down the line, it's, oh, no, these people are not what they made out to be. So what's happening? We've got people who are running about befriending people, professing to be their friend, and then using them for video purposes. And as soon as they've videoed them, boom, they're ditched and they move on to the next. So what you need to ask yourself, what's happening? Right? No, I'm not going to keep getting involved in it. It's not about division. There's no fucking group. There's no community. There's nothing to divide. Right? I'm not about communities and one man controlling the whole group. And if you say something, you're dividing the group up. That's just cult fucking mentality bollocks. Right? If people are standing on their own individuality and discerning for themselves, how can you divide the individual? Huh? Think about it. Anyway, let's go and have a wee look-see at what's been happening in comments. Fuck it, we'll just go to yesterday's. What else has been happening? Wait a wee minute to see here. Is there any other videos? Somebody else again, Peter Griffin, talking about satanic deceptions. Listen, this is you coming from a point of view of biblical idea, right? About evil bad guy and all that shit. I can't be bothered with it. right? There is an enemy, right? There is people who are trying to subvert and oppress and subdue people and contain them and control them. Does that all funnel into this big baddie with horns and a fucking tail running about fucking, you know, operating all these different factions? I mean, is it so hard for you to get that human beings on their own, without the intervention of invisible beings, is it hard for you to fathom that they could just be, you know, self-centered, delusional, narcissistic, psychopathic pieces of shit? Is that not possible? No. You've never experienced that in your life. No. When have you ever experienced invisible devils and all that shit? You haven't. What you have experienced is people and their ways. I'm fucking done with all this religious, spiritual fucking hogwash crap. You're the power. You control your mind. You make the decisions. It's up to you. We have an opportunity here to answer the questions without any religious babble being involved in it, any substitutes. We have the opportunity to actually know, rediscover, find out where we are, who we are, why we're here, how it came to be. We have the faculties, we have the ability to do so. All this psyoping of religious and spiritual fucking hogwash is as clear as day to me. I keep saying it. People understand the religious institutions dominated, were the force, and it was known. Do you really think it was just given up? There you go. Have it. You know, we don't want this control anymore. No. It's the same institutions, it's the same mechanisms that are being used to control you to this very day. The priests who came up with the Big Bang and the globe and all that shite are coming from the religious institutions. Okay? There was no scientific institution. Religious institutions. And as people get curious, the priests took control. They formulated and created an education system. You do not build a university or a school without the permission of the religious institution. And the criteria and what will be taught will be approved and dictated by the religious institution. Nothing's changed. So now what? So they try to take people into a naturalistic avenue, and now people are cottoning onto it. Okay, we're knowing a ball. Okay, right, so it may be designed, it may be created. Therefore, oh, I know, we'll go to the fallback position. Everybody used to believe it was God's kingdom and God ruled us all and we're here to serve God. So we'll just fucking use that to try and contain them this time. Sick of saying it. When you concede intelligence being involved or design or creation or some part, people just jump on this bandwagon. It's my God. My God's the one that did it. Although you're asking, you know, questions about it, going, well, you know, what's the incentive of this invisible guy? What's he really up to? Why are you worshipping this place? Look at it. Everything's eating each other. Everything's struggling to survive, and you're being sold these mantras of, oh, we need to keep the species going. We must survive and stay here with Mother Earth. The life giver, Mother Earth. What the fuck's offering you? And why are you trying to survive? To achieve what exactly? Is there an end part to you know, an armadillo's, you know, existence? It's got to keep breeding. It's got to keep breeding because at the end, you know, it's going to get a big gold star, a big thumbs up, and the gates of heaven's going to open up, and it's going to be engulfed in love and light and fucking all that airy-fairy nonsense. What's happening? People are not asking serious enough questions. People are not thinking about these things. They're just listening to the mantras that have been taught to them from their cult. And then removing certain aspects but holding on to other aspects of the cult programming. It's like people are scared to wash it away and stand in a place of clarity and say, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know why the fuck I'm even alive. I don't know what being alive even means. I don't know where I'm. That seems to terrify people. Seems to terrify them to the point that they'll just grasp at any old fucking shite. And while they're grasping at any old shite, they're going to try and do battle with everybody else against their shite. You get people like me just sitting in the middle going, what the fuck's happening here? Well, at the same time, they're coming to me and going, you're satanic and you're this and you're that because you done that. Or you get tattoos. Is that rational? No, it's just no, is it? But hey ho, people are in fear and confusion, so anything goes, I suppose. And this as well, you know, when you say these things, people think it's coming from a dark place and you're depressed and you're going to commit suicide. No, I'm asking questions. I'm asking philosophical questions, right? I'm asking reasonable questions about why people think the way they think and why they adopt these mantras and spew them time and time again. You know, when I say, like, you know, what is this survival? We have to survive. Oh, we need to save the fucking rhinoceros because it's nearly extinct. Well, maybe the fucking rhinoceros has had enough of this shit. Maybe the rhinoceros has figured out. No, I don't mean the rhinoceros because people know because the rhinoceros has been hunted, right? Whatever. You know, maybe they just had enough. Maybe they're just saying, look, this game of life's just a lot of shit. Can't be bothered with it anymore. But we have been sold these mantras. And everybody, or the majority, seem to accept it. Life's a gift. It's precious. Is it? What exactly is precious about it? Just all these sweeping statements without any, you know, points being made, any specifics. And I don't like that. So enough with this Satan, God, cack. Again, by all means, come and discuss any of this stuff with me anytime you like. Right, where are we? This Dale guy wouldn't even show a homeless person in the street respect. Though he wants a medal. Fanny. Where are you getting that for, Dutch Pink? What are you talking about? Blah blah. Why haven't NASA shut you down? Maybe it's because NASA's going to be thrown under the bus, you fucking moron. Right? Do you ever think about that? Do you ever think that maybe, oh, wait a minute, we're going to be caught out of line here, hang on, we better do something about this. If we don't formulate a scapegoat, then we're all going to be held accountable. No, that's not possible, is it? They don't do that ever. They don't offer up scapegoats. Nah, no chance. Stumptown Viking, don't we need to unite in some fashion to take NASA to the carpet? I understand your point of being an individual and self-reliant, but aren't most people inherently social and desire to be amongst like-minded individuals? Well, that depends on what you're basing that upon. If you're analysing previous events and times gone by from a point of human beings being in confusion, bewilderment, not having the foundations of where they actually exist, then maybe they will seek safety in numbers because of that, and they'll adopt all these crazy ideas and pursue them and live them out, you know. But we're not talking about that. You know, we need to understand what it would be like to be a human being without all this oppression and subversion and blatant fucking manipulation and lies going on, right? So, no, I don't need to seek refuge amongst people. It's in here. There's nothing out there that anybody's going to offer me to satisfy what's going on in there. Absolutely nothing. And as soon as you start lumping people into groups and trying to organise and stuff, you're asking for corruption. We're not in an ideal scenario here. Even the awakened ones want to be on a team. What awakened ones? I don't believe flat earth exposure and disclosure will happen by a bunch of random hermits on different pages. We are at war with the ultimate diabolical powers of the world. We need some sort of camaraderie. But I'm not down with hand-holding, singing Kumbaya either, mate. Hopefully there's some sort of common ground to be made. Well, this is it. This is what I keep speaking about. The common ground is total self-empowerment. The common ground is understanding the processes of the mind. Right? And once that's achieved, nobody is going to be bullshitting anybody else. Right? There's no requirement for us to lump together in groups. You may have a preference to be in a certain group and partaking in whatever that may be, but in regards to, you know, things that we're trying to achieve as a whole, you know, there's no requirement for that. This is where I think people are getting confused. You know, what do you want? You know, what's happened in previous times gone by out in the streets when people with a common ground all get together in a street and try and protest? Absolutely fucking none. Right? Because protesting is a fucking total fallacy. Remove your attention. You're only being governed because you consent to it. Some people feel they need to be governed. I don't. Ad Potter, hey Dale, thanks for all you do. Have you seen the flat earth debate between the astrophysicists and Darren Nesbitt and the other guy that was put up the other day? Would like to hear your take on it. Well, maybe later I'll have a wee look at that. Maybe while we're on live, who knows? Davey Tut, hello Dale, I'm a Christian and a flat earther. I did a search on YouTube, flat earth evangelism, and your video came up. I watched some of that video and was curious, are you a Christian? I don't have a lot of time this morning as I'm trying to get out the door for work. If you are a Christian, would you please point me to one of your videos where you discuss Jesus or the Bible? Thanks, David Tut. David, I'm no affiliated with any religious doctrine or dogma at all. You know? Absolutely none of it. So no. I'm not affiliated with any religious books or teachings of deities and saviours and all that stuff. It's just not me. Although, you know, would it not be great if there was a great overseer who was going to hand out justice, pure, unadulterated justice? That'd be fucking excellent. I can go to idealism and fantasy, you know, and dream and hope and wish, if I like. I done that when I was a kid. Nobody came and saved me. Nobody took any away. Right? It doesn't work. Oh, but your intent wasn't pure. You weren't meditating enough, or maybe you never prayed properly. How the fuck does a child know how to do that? Huh? So no, I don't appeal to fantasy whatsoever. Trev Dowson, cheers, mate. Beyond Imaginary Flat Stupid Thing. Oh, what a great name. You must have been up for hours thinking that one up. Why do flat earthers take hours and hours to get a 10-minute point across? Sorry, I'm sorry I'm not fitting your criteria. I can only apologise. I will try my best to satisfy the needs and wants of the onlooking fans. Could you put it in writing, please? Could you send me an email and tell me exactly what it is you would want from me? I'm more than happy to jump through hoops for any fucking random stranger out there. Yes, I am here to serve you.
On that point, I think to be fair, we all we have discussed the idea of introducing car chases and dramatic music, you know.
Aye, fucking fuck it, man. You know, I might as well throw the whole lot at it. Full-blown Hollywood. You know? Veritas Rising, when speaking to a bollard about their bubble, perhaps it's very important to open the conversation by asking them to define gravity. Yep. Of course they can't. This will immediately put an end to their argument regarding water and its physical behaviour. Better to get the illusion of gravity out of the way, then maybe it's possible to have a conversation about their misguided belief. Just a thought, peeps. Exactly, Veritas Rising. I've been saying this over and over and over again. They can't define it. They can't demonstrate any of these things practically. It's just waffle. And the point being that saying gravity or arguing about why things fall or why they fall at the rate they fall is in no way, shape or form anything measurable about the shape of the fucking earth. But they just don't get it. All this unnecessary complication is exactly that, unnecessary, but people keep adopting it, thinking that they have to respond to it or fit it in some way when they're not thinking about it clearly. I want to measure the table. Oh, but why do things fall down? Why is your lights up there round? Why is this, that and the other? Well, I want to measure the table, mate. I know, but why do things fall? And why do they fall at the same speeds? And why do things fall like that in a vacuum? And blah, 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 blah. I want to measure the table, mate. I know, but why do things fall? Why do they not fall up to me? I want to measure the table, mate. Never mind the table. I want to know why things fall and why the lights in the sky look round. Carol Child of God, Harry McDonald, aka John Smith, just showed a still picture of himself on his channel, and this is why I'm here. I had no idea of this conflict. I thought Gavin was John Smith. Lol. Good talk, you're making me think, thanks. Well, exactly. This is why I want to disassociate with many of these people, because I don't agree with what they're up to, and I'm highly suspicious of it. So, you know, I felt responsible because these people have brushed up alongside me and associations were made by the perceiving populace who are looking on in this, and they make these connections, right? And I just want to eradicate those connections and say it clearly how it is. And again, none of us were interested in him putting a picture up of himself. This seems to be the ploy. Oh, I'll just put a picture up and that negates any of the other points that have been raised. No, it fucking does not. Right? Don't give a fuck about pictures and showing face. Graham Ears, love this deal. Good to see the three pests, and yes, they are the best dogs. Not been able to catch live last few weeks, but always catch up the next day for as soon as I can. Cheers, Graham Ears. Right, so we're just getting people talking about the Smith character and disingenuous and blah blah. I pointed out some misrepresentation he often gives in his videos concerning the blue marble images, the ether experiments and density. John deleted my comments and blocked me from his channel. Again, that's what's actually going on. If you go and look at the comments thread, it's all trying to portray a certain, image in people's minds, and I don't think that's right. Again, I'm not one of these people who thinks we can just sweep things under the carpet without actually sifting through and trying to figure out and understand what's actually going on. You know, if you don't actually address the problem in the backdrop just gets worse and worse and worse. And then you're never going to resolve it because you've never actually looked at it. So I just leave the trolls. Let them babble. I will always meet them head on. They have nothing. But when you're trying to portray, holier than thou, safe zone, kumbaya, you're shielding people and trying to contain them in a wee bubble. I think we're long past containing people in a wee bubble and try to wrap them in cotton wool. And who do you think you're that's the authority that thinks you should do that? Again, this looking into the psychology of what's actually going on here. right? Nobody has the right to corral anybody or try and protect her or any of that stuff. I had a strange experience with Dubai too. I made a comment on one of his videos. He responded within minutes, and as soon as I got the notification, I went to see the comment. Someone had liked the comment already, blah, 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 whatever. You know, again, I'm only going to raise the issues that I'm raising. I'm not going to focus on other characters. Can't be bothered with it, you know. If none of these characters are focusing on empowering the individual, this is what's important. Being a truther. Any people that are professing to be truthers should have came to these realizations now. It's about empowering each individual so that their mind can't be pulled from pillar to post with utter fucking garbage. The flat out truth, who can argue that any fake unity is harmful? But certainly not all unity is fake. If nothing else, we all share the unity of knowing the globe is a lie. Exactly. But this is what I'm saying about people misinterpreting what unity actually means. Unity is not somebody taking control and somebody taking the lead role and dictating and sheltering and hiding and sweeping things under the carpet. That's a manipulative controller. But it's exactly the point. That is the unity. We all understand that the globe is a lie. So what your lesson is from that is never to assume anything, not to get involved with groups, to take total control, self-empower yourself, stand on your own 2 feet, discern for yourself, and always be questioning. Without the necessity or the need that you feel to be fulfilled by some more relevant, more important dude on fucking YouTube or on your TV screen. And if the opposition's agenda is to divide, break up unity, exactly that is what it is. It is. But that doesn't mean because people like me are outspoken. That's no division. If there was an agenda to divide, break up unity, and if FE's stance were also to not have unity, then we'd have 2 opposing sides that are in agreement. There's something not right. Hope we can get right back to Dell ripping apart globeheads nonsense. What I'd really like to see, though, would be 2 or 3 hours of nothing but ideas brought forth from people joining the panel on how we might go about exploring the full dimensions of the Earth. Right, so the division is being created because of the weak-minded application from people and what they put their attention to, right? The cult of personality, the cult of saviour and guru. Thank you. You're welcome. Right, because that's not empowering people. It's keeping people in apathetic laziness so that they can then be corralled by the new wave of saviours. Right? And that's what I'm opposed to. I'm always going to be here ripping globe nonsense apart. That's why I'm here. But at the same time, there's other aspects of this journey, this experience that I'm going to be airing my concerns about and that I'm going to be vocal about, because it's the walk I'm walking, it's what I'm actually experiencing. So what should I do? Oh, I'll just paint an image that it's all love and light and none of that really exists and everybody's cool. Now that we've discovered that the Earth's not a globe, we're all just fine. All that manipulative psychotic behaviour has just left the human psyche altogether just because you realised it's not a globe. So, when things are coming up that I feel are important or that are annoying me or affecting me, I'm going to air them. I'm not going to hide it away and try and profess this image of perfection and togetherness. It's not real. I've said it before. I can go into the idealism fantasy world where I would like it to be like that, where people weren't looking to backstab each other and play manipulative, sneaky games. I'd fucking love a world like that. That's what I yearn for from a child. but it's just not the reality I was experiencing. So I'm not going to keep ignoring it and hope that it goes away. No, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to face it up and I'm going to have a look at it and see if I can understand what the fuck's going on. People coming forward, joining the panel, anybody's free to join the panel. That's what the Saturday night thing was created for people to come forth, say what they want to say, whatever else. What ideas is there about how we're going to explore the place? Unless you've got serious fucking funds, or we have enough awareness that we can apply the military equipment that we already have. And it's not going to happen. So I don't know what other ideas you need. Be the change, think, don't believe. I don't trust any group or movement that's not being an individual responsible for yourself. First of all, the whole ball versus flat earth is a psyop, just another Hegelian dialectic to divide the masses so they can label the individuals who do know themselves and their reality being what you can prove to yourself with your own senses as an individual who think for themselves and want to be responsible for themselves so they can label us flat earthers and demonize us. Anyone can see for themselves that the earth isn't flat. There's high points and low points. However, what I do know is that water is level and contained. The earth is stationary. Space is all around us. Right. So that's exactly it. It's what I've always said from the beginning. That is the psyop, is to create that dialectic, the dichotomy, the two opposed sides, the good, the evil, and all this fucking nonsense. It's all cartoons and imagination. And you hear me saying it continually, there only is one fucking reality. This is the reality that we're all sharing right now. There is no two sides to it. It is what it is. It has definite structure to it. It can be depended upon. It can be known. It can be understood. It can be used to our benefit. That's it. So of course, which is why I always say the label flat earth, what it means here. Because they just put it out there as another mantra and sway people's opinions and divide people up within their own psyche. And because of that, that's going to have a divisive effect on their communications and their social interactions. Because people need to be right and they need to oppose people that think they're against what they believe and all this fucking garbage. When it comes right down to it, we all share common things. What is it, the requirements of a human being to even exist? Right? That's where we share commonality. All this subjective split fucking nonsense within the psyche is just exactly that, pure nonsense. But we've been saturated in it because of media, because of TV.
So can I ask you if the phone's on?
Yeah, the phone's on.
Apparently you should have messages waiting.
Your phone's on silent, mate. Yes, it is on silent. I will turn that up right now. Hey there, have you seen the travel ad that suggests NASA is science fiction? Have a look, it's on my Des Sherwood channel, not the tuition one, it's the latest video. Interesting, I did, Des, actually seen that. I think I seen it on your face, was it Facebook, I think you shared it, and I seen it. Hi, interesting. They dropped these wee things in there. Des Sherwood has two channels, he's got one for guitar tuition and obviously another one. As I've said to people before, for anybody that's looking for any kind of wee tuition things in regards to guitar, Des is there offering it up. A Scot in charge, God forbid. Aye. Put me in fucking charge, I'll eradicate the nonsense in fucking 24 hours. 24 fucking hours, I'll eradicate all the bullshit. Evening, Dale. I think there are a lot of people who need to do some self-work before putting themselves out there, trying to have any effect on this topic. We need confident, sane, clear minds who understand the argumentation. I too am studying the narcissist stuff myself and have identified certain flaws in my own psychology. Also totally agree on this group association shite. We need strong individuals. Also, please shout out the London Feltham meet on the 26th of May. Richard, formerly Rick Vats, now Rickus Vaticus. Cheers. Exactly, Rickus Vaticus. That's the point. You know, people need to take responsibility and actually know and understand that. If you're going to try and affect people with this, you really need to have it sorted out, which is exactly what I offered up because I thought about it. I knew it in my own mind and I knew how to just make the points to refine it, to get it across to people without leaving them in this bewildered, confused place about the conversation that we've just had, which is what you're seeing continually, because all these people seem to be interested in is making videos for the sake of making videos to upload them to YouTube and get subscribers and likes and be relevant just because. Which is why I pulled back from it, because I'm not going there. Hello. Hung up. Paul Etchells, Dale, if these people that are following you can't grasp what you're saying about the reality of the place we live, they would be better off living in caves with their brainwashed brains. As for us Scottish folk making hand gestures and being part of some secret society, you people don't know the Scots very well, as we will give our points raw, and if it offends anyone, then fuck off. Exactly. You know, it's this whole thing, this whole narrative that's being pushed about offending, and these same people that I've highlighted this week who try and, you know, push this nonsense about don't speak out, don't swear, don't be, you know, confrontational. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Is it Dale?
Yeah, speaking.
How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good.
That was me giving the wee message there, but your phone was on silent, so you can thank me for that.
Ah, cheers for that, my man.
So, I just thought I'd come on and ramble a wee bit before Gav arrived.
Cool.
Right? It's just a wee story. When I went through 6 months before I came across Flat Earth, you know, it was 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
For some reason, right, there was something in my, you know, that wee small voice in your head that would be whispering things to you, the wee intuition or something.
Right.
Kept repeating to me every now and then, what if you're living in somebody else's version of reality?
Yeah.
And that kind of, you know, every few days that thought would cross my mind, and then I came across Flat Earth and I thought, I'm going to debunk this is a load of balls, and when I'm trying to debunk it, couldn't, and I'm a Flat Earther.
Cool.
But, well, I just, you know, I don't know why I shared that, but I had to share that I sort of had an intuition. I don't know why, it was like sort of something, maybe your mind prepared you for, to be able to accept something, you know.
Well, I know what you're saying, and it's not just, see, this is the thing, that, you know, living somebody else's reality doesn't come down to just the globe. It comes down to the whole ideas of what we should do with our lives, like the structure that we have, going to work, getting jobs, the education system, what a relationship means, how you should behave in a relationship. All these things are ideas, and that's what I felt for the majority of my life. I'm living something that's not true to me. I'm trying to fit myself into a box that somebody else has created here, and none of it makes any sense. So I don't know if that's what you're trying to get at, but.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, it's just sort of, as a wee niggling something all your life, it's sort of telling you there's something not right here. You just can't put your finger on it, but you keep going through life anyway, doing the best you can, but you know that there's something broken. Yeah. And, you know, there was a thing the other day, how do you fix a system that was actually built to be broken? You can't, you have to destroy the system and start again. Exactly. And make sure that it has absolutely no relationship to the previous system. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I know you're a wee bit anarchistic like myself, etc., and governments and all that there, but, you know, if that day ever come, I'd be happy. But
Well, I'm an anarchist, and I said this point the other night. True anarchy for me is in the mind. It's within oneself. It's not something you can impose as a structure for a society or whatever. But if we have to live as a society, then we have to formulate a structure that never allows corruption or any of this stuff to be bred ever again. And it's not difficult. Things that we require as human beings that we share in a commonality should be structured in a way that the people that are operating within it are restricted purely to represent the needs of the people and nothing else. As soon as they wander away from that, they're ousted, they're removed from that position. And, that's the way it has to be. So, we
see it time and time again. Right, okay, I'll start off with when anybody, the brainwash, or the whatever it is, I hate the term brainwashing, conditioning maybe, right, is when somebody mentions flat earth, you automatically, 4 years ago, you laughed your head off. These fucking people are living in the Stone Age or something.
Yeah.
Somebody mentions anarchy, you just, riots in the street, no governments, and everything's going to fucking hell, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like that at all. There was a society, apparently, according to history, that lived for 1,000 years with an archaic society where not anybody in charge who tried to overstep the bounds was very, very quickly put back in their place.
Exactly.
They had no power over, and we see it all the time. We see Theresa May and her husband. Her husband's the owner of fucking G4 or something. The guy who runs the prison thing, and they keep losing fucking prisoners and shit.
Yeah.
The Australian Prime Minister's wife at the moment is doing this big thing for mandatory vaccinations. Australians have mandatory voting.
Yeah.
They get fined, I don't know, $50, $150 if they don't go and vote.
Yeah.
And now they've brought in mandatory vaccinations. And everybody's like, it's the government that must be right. She's such a lovely person, but her pockets are just getting filled with gold.
Exactly.
She's getting paid big money from big pharma.
Exactly. All people need to do is look outside their fucking window and think, what are these fucking dipshits actually, offering to make our lives better? They're offering fuck all, but people keep pandering to it,
You look back on history too. You just have to look back on history, and people who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Where they put a tax on windows, they put a tax on pipes, they put a tax on chimneys.
Yeah.
Seriously, and people accepted that, and still till today, people accept death taxes. You have to pay the government for the privilege of dying.
Yep.
Seriously, like.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it's the system there would have been to organise, road networks, waterways, the facilities that we actually require and depend upon, and that's purely it. And that's been corrupted and used to benefit these fuckers,
you don't understand. You don't realise what you think to yourself. Where is all this fucking money going? If everybody's paying all this taxes, like the Americans, like you would see it in America now and then, they're complaining about bridges and roads and and all over the world, the roads and the bridges and whatever infrastructure are an absolute fucking state of decay.
Yep.
And they're asking people to pay for water and stuff. You say, hang on a minute. You see, if you add it all up and you put all that money together, we should actually be living in a fucking.
Aye, I say this to people all the time. My idea of what the world should have been a picture of, individual expression. Every yard that you walked would be an expression of individuality, creativity, art, fun, a big fucking theme park, because that's what we could have. But we don't. We bow and pander to this. Oh no, you need to get a box to live in, and you have to go to work from fucking 9 in the morning to 5 at night, and you need to give us your children, and it's fucking retarded, man.
I know. The best slaves to have are those that don't know. The best prisoners to have is those who don't know they're in prison.
Aye, exactly.
Geez. Right, hold on a minute. There was something there as well about the prisoners. See the way that they're so clever, and people think about the mafia and about crime and about how they're fighting. We all know the Clintons were fucking important dogs, and we know the government, the CIA, and all them were important I mean, it was actually said in some kind of, one of the big Congress meetings and thingies, where the guy actually stood up and said the CIA are the biggest importers of fucking cocaine to the,
Of course.
So what they've done very cleverly and through all the conditioning and just the way, is they're hiding in plain sight. The biggest mafia is government.
Of course.
And people are, and we're just people are so sheepish and so drooling at the mouth and window licking.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They can't see that.
Exactly. But this is what I'm saying. It's another part of being born into the cult, and its ways and its teachings and its history and all that fucking garbage. When really in the gut of people, especially the children, they know that something's off. We're here. We seem to have this natural desire and want just to have fun and create and and keep moving forward. But we're corralled and pushed into these boxes with false ideas that we start trying to mould ourselves to fit, and it's preposterous, mate. Honestly,
it does look like it's fucking based on a spinning wheel, like just
Exactly.
around doing the same old thing. Nothing changes.
No.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
And that's kind of obvious to most people, or to a lot of people, but
that's and I just hope that seeps in more and more with people, and I think it is. People are becoming disillusioned by the ideas that they've bought into. They're starting to realise that it's just not working out. That they're not fulfilled. They're not satisfied. It's all empty, which is why we have such a high problem with drink and drugs and people trying to escape from the nonsense. Rather and again, it's part of this. Oh, we'll just try and run away from it. No, fuck that. Let's not run away from it. It's not that scary. Let's just face up to it and sort it out and turn the place. If this is where we have to be and this is all that exists, let's make it a big fucking theme park. Let's make it a place of pure pleasure and joy.
I agree 100%. The first. I just hope that happens someday. I don't know, and I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. But I can actually see it happening maybe sometime in the future, where people just go, you know what, it reaches I hate saying the critical mass too, because it's such a what do you call it, such a well-worn term. But
I said it the other night. For me, it's inevitable, and you touched on it. There's a system from the off. It's going to fail, because it's going to end up unbalanced, because it's corrupt. So, that is inevitable. Eventually, people are going to become so disillusioned by it that it has to crumble, which is where people have to be cautious about what is offered up, and that falls into this whole thing about the globe as well. It's all been brought about. What are they going to offer up? That's what you need to be suspicious of. That's what you need to be wary of,
And perhaps this whole globe thing is perhaps maybe the start of it. It's going to go even beyond that. But once, all you have to do is take one little thing out, and the whole thing will collapse. I mean, I suppose that's what people are saying. There's just so many things. You're talking NASA videos that it's a complete joke where you see harnesses fail. Then you talk about the natural things. How does a sun that's 93 million miles away, that's that size there, size of a 5p coin, be the size of a 50p coin, and then the size of a 5p coin was going away? But sure, you haven't really moved that. You haven't moved towards it at all. It's that big. It's 93 million miles away. It should be the same size on the horizon. Exactly. It rises. Apparently rising.
Yeah.
It should be the same size at noon. It should be the same size when it's fucking setting.
And equal light, 12 hours, everywhere. And the heat aspect as well. There's all these points that people just fail to look at,
There's fucking hundreds of them there. I mean, Eric says 200, we know that's a good start. By the end of it all, there'll be 300 or 400.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple things that you can just think about and go, you know what, I can't fucking answer that. And actually that makes sense to me. We can't be moving. It's actually moving.
Yeah.
People will get to that eventually, hopefully.
Right, hopefully, man.
So I've rambled on and off, Dale. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
I'll let Gab get on maybe.
Cheers.
Just to let you know, my surname is McAllister. I'm a fellow Celt. I'm from, well, apparently we did a bit of research there. Michael's just come over from Mulligan Tire to Ireland. I'm in Ireland at the minute.
Nice
You
one.
might have guessed from the accent.
Yeah.
And I'm dancing with zombies.
Nice one, bud.
That's
Nice
who
one.
I am. So you have a friend in me.
Nice one,
You've
mate.
got a friend in me. All right,
Good
Dylan.
man.
Hey, enjoy the rest of the hangout board. Pleasure talking to you.
Well, you too, my man. Thanks for phoning. Cheers. Cheers, buddy. Cheers.
All right, my man.
Oh, Gav, you're there.
I'm a bit late.
Ah, you're all right. Well, expect a
This-
written warning.
I just heard a man from the Mulligan Tire there.
Aye. Aye.
Grew up myself.
Campbelltown, you were. Aye,
That's right.
exactly.
I don't know if there's anybody for the wee town watching, but how you doing, guys?
How's things, mate?
Aye, all right. Aye, been a bit busy, so I never really had time to join in.
Yeah, aye. Sorry, mate, I've got another phone call here. I'll answer this one and I'll put it on.
Aye, no bother.
Hello?
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 Hello, is that Dan?
Speaking?
Oh, how you Dan? I confused when you were through the screen.
Yeah, no, it's because there's a delay. You're better turning the screen down than just listening on the phone.
Hi, Dan. It's Dean from Newcastle. I spoke to you once or a few months back.
Nice. Aye, how you doing, mate?
What I'm thinking is, I don't know if you've seen it, it's about the NASA, about the Mars helicopter thing.
Right.
Right, what it says, it's fitting that the United States of America, this is from the statement, is the first nation in history to fly the first heavier than aircraft on another world.
So,
Right? So I'm thinking, right, an astronaut slipped, like what, last year, saying about they can't reach beyond low Earth orbit.
yeah.
And apparently they've already had the 1969 Limb lander, which was an aircraft that was supposed on the moon.
Yeah.
Then suddenly they're going to announce by 2020,
Yeah.
they're going to have this Mars helicopter, which is being tested now.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be some sort, I don't know how they can say it's the first heavier than air aircraft on another world, on another planet, as it was said.
Mhm.
And apparently they've already had one on the moon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
starting to get a bit like NASA are quaking a little bit with the flat Earth theories because they can't prove anything and bendy water and that.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if anyone on the Tonight Show or anyone had mentioned it because I've missed a little bit.
No, I did see it.
Just announced just a few days ago. It was on mainstream news.
Yeah. I read it on the teletext. You know, I always check the teletext at night when I'm in my bed. So I did read that. And it actually slipped my mind, but it's just because I don't place any importance on it. It's just fucking absolute lunacy. Helicopters on Mars. Aye. What about that plane that went missing here? Oh fuck, we don't know what that is, but we can remote control a helicopter on Mars. Aye, fuck off.
Then they can't put anything on apparently the moon.
Aye.
And they've got little apparently rovers on Greenland, which is the moon, filming lemons and hamsters and all sorts of Mars animals. It's to me, I think it's just building all up to where NASA's going to have to come to some announcement where they say basically we don't know what shape the Earth is.
Aye, they're getting found out. You know, they're going to be thrown under the bus, mate. You know, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it seems to be done for us.
Yeah.
For money and to get America's prize again. And
It's a product. It's just a product, you know, that people have been buying. And as soon as people stop buying and say the product's a lot of shit, then, you know, that has to disband. It has to go away. The same as any business, you know.
The product is a good word to use because I think the greatest product they're trying to sell is Mars.
Yeah.
Was the moon, now it's Mars, and it's because I mean this goes on. It says this exciting and visionary achievement will inspire young people all over the United States to become scientists and engineers, paving the way for even greater discoveries in the future. Yeah. Which echoes John F. Kennedy's statement when he said that we'll go to the moon and it'll be exciting and visionary for our youth.
Because
he got assassinated, didn't he? So
they have to capture the imagination. They have to offer an outlet for creative exploration. And as long as people think they have an outlet for that, like the promise of going to Mars, then they're not going to get disgruntled and restless and want to start exploring here. You know, so that is, for me, it's just part of the psychological containment of people. You know, just keep offering them these possible outlets of exploration, and then they'll accept the box that they're living in. You know,
also it's given a bit of competition as well, isn't it? Obviously, America wants to be the first nation, you know, to beat all these other nations. So therefore, we need more money now.
Yeah.
Of the American people and whoever else that can get the money off.
Exactly.
By do another CGI film, no doubt.
Yep.
What about what? Just all of the things I'm reading off NASA lately, you know, it gets more ridiculous and ridiculous. You know, the images get more and more not real.
Yep.
You know, it seems to be on purpose. I think this whole like people are not bothered by what they see, so will it make it even worse to try and see how much people will see. Well, that's a cartoon, obviously.
That's it.
But it doesn't seem to be. People don't seem to be bothered. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Look at it.
I know, they're just living in the Hollywood movie, you know.
That's what it's like. And it's I think somewhere down the line, I mean, this movement is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, on the mainstream, I know on the TV it was I can't remember what you call him, Stuart Schofield.
Yeah.
And the other one, I mean, at the end of that program, I know it wasn't a lot, I think he said it was in a poll they'd done. I think 6% or 8% said they believe in the flat earth now.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
You know, out
Exactly.
the blue, nearly 10%.
Yeah.
You know, I'm probably the first hearing of it, or, you know, or just a big
That's it.
interest in it.
Yeah.
And
well, let's just hope that the inevitable happens, mate, you know, and people start questioning them en masse.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they seem to be able to land things anywhere, apparently, take photographs of anywhere, millions, trillions of miles away, yet they just can't have an iPhone on the highest object they can send up, if it's a space station, 200 miles up or whatever it is. Just point an iPhone out.
Yeah.
You know, you know, dead lightweight iPhone pointed out the window.
Yeah.
It shows something pointing upwards, something pointing downwards, an Eiffel Tower sticking out the side or something. You know, or a ship going upside down, anything. Simple. You know what I mean? Just pan the iPhone down, no fancy phones or nothing, just send someone up.
Well, as I said last night, and I've said before, mate, I don't ask the questions. I don't want them to produce anything for me. Because, you know, again, if you ask that and then they produce it, then what? You've got to accept that it's a globe? Nah. If they are depicting the Earth to be anything other than level, for me, then, you know, it's a bullshit, it's a lie. So I don't want any images from them. They're fucking liars. The Earth's not a globe, so they can go and ram it right up their ass. I don't want anything from them, you know?
If you have an iPhone with a fisheye lens on or something.
Yeah, well, this is it. You keep asking that, you know, they've got sophisticated equipment now that they can make anything look real. So be careful of what you ask for, you know, is what I'm saying.
I think, what you keep saying all the time about the bendy water, I mean, it's impossible. They can't prove that it bends.
No.
Well, do you know what I mean? It's so simple.
It's impossible.
You know, it's impossible.
Yeah.
You know, they know it, we know it, everybody knows it.
Yeah.
And it's like they keep diverting away to some other
exactly.
which I really appreciate. You don't keep going on about, because, you know, lately the flat earth's getting a bit of coverage. You know, there's different guys having different theories. One guy, I forgot his name actually, I used to like his posts. But his latest one on 4 Pillows or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It just makes you get more radical.
No, it's no need for it, mate. We need to be real. The real situation is we don't know. We need to explore it. We need to actually find out what it is. No postulate fucking hypotheses and fucking fantasy. You know?
Because when you talk to people, they say, oh, well, you've got to fall off the end of the earth, or they've got this, or it's surrounded by ice, but then you jump off and you know, they've got this vision in because they've seen snippets and haven't done any research.
Exactly.
And when you try and say, well, there's lots of different versions, oh, well, it would be, wouldn't it? Yep. You know what I mean? And it basically just need the one answer. We don't know.
Yep.
You know, we just can't prove that it's a globe. If they prove it's a globe and water bends, great.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not going to happen, mate, you know?
But I mean, when you go to school, you feel as though you're being cheated. Do you know what I mean? And then the religious side gets involved, and all this goes haywire. You only start studying about different things, and go back in history, you can see why they changed the globe or whatever, the countries, continents, you know, everything. You can.
Yeah.
You know? So
Exactly.
the money and control, basically, and it's quite a scary prospect when you don't actually know where you really live.
Exactly.
On the planet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, mate. You know, that's it. It's that fear that makes people jump to grasping at, you know, fantasy and comfort blankets just to feel secure. You know, they're very scared of standing in a position of no knowing.
There's no easy way to prove it. You know, you couldn't say, well, look, if you've got like £50,000, you can go on a plane and it goes so high, when you look at the window, you see the curve. Because nobody has.
No.
And even if you had all that money, you can't. There's no way as a normal person you can do anything.
Exactly. You know,
to prove what them say, or by what they've written, or a theory or something. You know, so.
Aye.
Well, it's very easy to prove it either way. You know, like it's flat.
That's it, mate. That's it. That's it.
When I went to the Wintley Bay Flat Earth meeting, you know, people say, oh, well, the ship goes off the end. But actually, when I took someone up to the coast, and I said, like, what do you see? If you had no visions at all, or set ideas, what do you see in front of you? Well, it looks as though the sea rises, like a wall, and then the sky comes down.
Yeah.
And it's not how they would describe it. Say, oh, well, I look out, it's perfectly flat, and the ship goes off the end.
Yeah.
It actually towers above them, the sea, like a wall.
That's it.
You know, when the sea comes down, then understand the perspective, and if you take someone up, even 6 stories, and you say, just check the perspective with your eye. It would be the same height again. When you come lower, it lowers down, always the same. Once you get that in the head, you start to realise.
That's it, mate. That's it.
You start to think, well, that's a simple proof
That's it.
that I can do anywhere. Anywhere I go on the bus, or I go up the hill, or anywhere I go to the coast, I can look and see if that's true.
Yeah. That's it, mate. Exactly. Exactly.
That was about it, really. I just don't know about Mars helicopters and things, but
No, it's just nonsense, mate.
yeah, probably will be.
Of course it is. It's not probably about it. It's total fucking nonsense, you know. So.
I know. I probably was it SpaceX? We're going to put someone on the moon, wasn't it?
Oh, fuck knows me. I just can't be bothered listening to any of their fucking drivel anymore, to be honest with you. I pay absolutely no fucking attention to it. As I keep saying, I don't need to get involved in Mars and rovers and helicopters. They're telling us that we exist on a pressurised fucking sphere in a vacuum with no solid separation between the two. That's bollocks. End of story. I don't need to get involved in all their fucking shite about helicopters and fucking take pictures up there for me. They're talking shite. End of story. You know? So. Exactly, mate. So.
Well, that's great, then. Nice to talk to you, Kat.
Aye, you too, bud.
Brilliant. Keep up the good work, and all the people who were in the discussions and part of the Beyond Imaginary curve who come on, all brilliant, all good.
Cheers, mate.
And things like that. Brilliant.
All right. Cheers, buddy. Cheers for phoning.
Take care, bye.
Take it easy, man. Gav, you there?
Yes, I am.
Nice one. So where are we at?
It was always nice to hear people phoning in. Always enjoy if other folk are participating and telling us their story. So.
Exactly, mate. That's what it's about.
So I was just a couple of things, I wanted to say as well about all this nonsense. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but I went through basically the same relationship or the same interactions with John Harry McDonald Smith that you did, right? It was around the same time. We had various, meetups. We went filming, we were at the universities and all that stuff together. But I'd just like to make clear to everybody here on this channel and anybody watching that I'm not John Smith. I don't have anything to do with him anymore. I unsubscribed from his channel about 6 months ago or 7 months ago. Basically when he was going up and down the country, meeting people, as far as I could see, bad-mouthing the platform, and yourself, I pulled Harry up on it privately. We had a conversation. And then as far as I'm concerned, it was over, because I didn't really see why Harry was being upset, about those, how should I say, the things that he was saying. What's the best way to describe this? Harry seemed to take umbrage with the swear words, right? And when I think of any Scottish person taking umbrage at swear words, then, you know, he's a big pussy, a big Sheila, a big snowflake, right? Because if all we're really worried about here is the absolute truth, right?
Yeah.
Then a couple of swear words can't possibly come between people searching for the truth, agreeing something needs to be done about it, and working together, you know? Surely there's no way that speech and language can be a barrier to that, which is what I feel that they're always trying to do, Dale. You know, this whole idea of, you know, compelled speech, or the idea that we're not allowed to say certain things, we're not allowed to swear, we're not allowed to, you know, we've got to be tolerant of everybody, we've got to, because he has the same opinion with me, it means I'm in his team. No, all that's bullshit, if you know, as far as I'm concerned. We have concepts in our mind which we try to express in language and give it meaning, but at the same time, if they control our language, then it works both ways, right? It goes back to control your mind as well, So I don't agree with all of this stuff about compelled speech. They can all get to fuck, And when I start to see, as you said quite rightly, I read some of these comments, well, they're all playing the victim role now. You know, poor me, had to show my picture because people were demanding it, were harassing me, were bullying me. Then it's just pure crap. You know, I can't stand that victim role anymore. We've talked about this often enough. People need to stand on their own 2 feet, and if they're secure in what they're knowing and what they're doing, then there shouldn't be any problem. And pointing then to you as some kind of, you know, bad man, swearing and upsetting the apple cart is just pure shite, So
Exactly.
I don't want to dive in too much because I can't stand all this crap, to be quite honest, you know. But it's not you that's being divisive, is what I'm saying. This is, for me, the only platform where the truth is spoken, and it's adhered to very strictly, and no fluff comes, no bullshit comes, no victim, no Stockholm syndrome. All that pish needs to stay out of what we're talking about, and we're looking at the content. And I have exactly the same questions that you had. How can a man spend all his day running up and down the country making videos, making new friends and forget all these old friends, very, very quickly, take whatever he wants and needs and moves on, and somehow thinks that that's progressive? No, sorry, I don't think so. When I analyze his content and I see the number of mistakes that he makes in the interviews with people, then I have serious doubts about what he's saying and why he's saying it. So, and I think it's perfectly legitimate to question exactly what you're questioning, the motive behind it. And I would appeal to Harry to come on anytime, just like the old days. You know, Harry, if you're listening to this, and I hope you are, then come on and speak to us and tell us we're wrong. Tell us what your intent is. Tell us what your motive is. Let's have a discussion about why what you're doing is maybe better for the whole situation we're in. So, you know, I would challenge him to step on up and come and have a conversation. I said it to him at the time, come on in, stop all this. Why don't we have a talk together? He didn't want to. And then he up and down the country making friends with people who are amazing and wonderful and brilliant, and he's met them for 5 fucking minutes, you know. Sorry, maybe these people are amazing, wonderful and brilliant, but I couldn't do it in 5 minutes, so how the fuck does he do it?
Exactly.
A couple other things, like you know, every single people who comment on his channel, he answers them. Sorry, but I don't know how that's done, Dale. You know, I mean, I get really annoyed at myself when I don't find time to pursue the flat Earth or bring progress. And I don't even know how somebody would manage to answer every fucking comment that somebody gives them. And there's a lot of comments, right? It's not. I mean, it's a full-time job answering the comments. So that doesn't wash with me either. There's something not right there. And Harry, feel free to come forward and put me right. I've never ever wanted or needed that the man puts his picture up anywhere. I don't give a real crap if somebody does that. I do have a, you know, how should I say, a certain wish that I speak to people directly and I know what they look like and I know who they are, I much prefer that to speaking to some anonymous guy on the internet, right, who won't show his face. But at the same time, I met Harry in person, so for me personally, there was no need for him to do it. I know what he looked like, and as far as I can see, nobody's forced him into doing it. He's now done that on his own, so to speak, to deflect from the questions that are actually being asked. Harry, how the hell do you manage to go up and down the country and doing all this stuff? Harry, are you actually on your own, or is there a wee team? Harry, why are you trying to bring people into your wee cliques and your wee communities? Because he tried to do that with me too. Come on and join Facebook, Gavin. We could really do with you here, that kind of thing. And all these things just don't add up. So, I'm calling him out too, is that there's something not right, and I'm asking the same questions still.
And let's not forget, this all came about by approaching me. And I was, the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it was all about the message, it was all about the progress. And then, and obviously I had the issues with the persistent uploading, and I expressed that. And even at the time, I said, look, fine, go your own way. I shouted it out live. I gave the support. But then, it's like you don't exist and you're ditched. And then you find out that there's contact being made behind your back. There's whispering going on. And I just, all that stuff makes me uneasy. So regardless of any of the air stuff, just on a personal level, if somebody treats me like that, I've got suspicions, I've got questions, I'm annoyed, I'm upset by it, and I've got every right to hear it and ask the questions, well, what the fuck's going on? Especially when I see the pattern being continued all over the place. And I ask the question, how can you be kumbaya and selective about who you think's great and who's no great based on what? You don't have any direct experience with any of these people. So, I'm like you, I told you this the other day, I don't want to be doing this. It doesn't make me feel good. I just rather it wasn't happening. But unfortunately, it's part of the journey. It's part of the experience that we're having. And if it's annoying me, I'm going to hear it.
You're quite right to.
No.
You're absolutely quite right too. There's too many things that don't add up. There's too many questions that. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck if he answers them or not, or he does what he does. He should just continue, and I hope people discern for themselves, right? Because at the end of the day, giving people that empowerment is what this channel is about, right? And not about bitching or interviewing people all fucking day, right? That's not what it's about.
Just using people for uploads, that's pretty much it. That's not what I'm about. That's why I pulled back from it, because there's no necessity to continually do the same thing over and over again, other than to just reap the rewards of the attention for that aspect of what you're doing. It's no for me, I'm
the same. I'd rather stay away. If I've got nothing to say, I'm not just going to stand up and let my belly rumble, right? You want to contribute to something and make progress, but continuing to do the same thing in a bad way as well, that can't be progress. That's
exactly. So that's I just want to draw a line under it again. Make the point that it's just as you say. It's all this, showing the face and acting the victim. Well, nothing about what was actually said has been focused on or addressed whatsoever. So they can play the victim and paint me as the bully or the like. It's nothing fucking new.
Right.
So,
but it's still bullshit. So. And it needs to be called out as such, And this whole idea of making people be nice to each other, be unified, it stinks to me of this whole compelled speech, That's all, we need to be tolerant, we need to be nice, we're all in the same team. Sorry, it doesn't wash with me. It's not an argument, It's to force people into mindsets and, group culture and cults again,
where they can be controlled and coerced. Because if you have them in that place, then especially if you're the main man running the show, nobody's going to question you, which allows you to sit in your dictator's role and play your little fucking games with people, making sure that you've silenced them so that they're not questioning you, so you can go about doing your business,
Yep.
Fuck that.
Fully agree.
So, that's it.
Well, I hope he comes. I hope Harry comes. He tells us what his motive and what his intent and why it is he's doing what he's doing and how it is he does what he does. Because if he does that, then fine,
Exactly.
Let's see if there's correct arguments for it. At the moment, I have huge question marks, and we're quite right to express them on here.
Exactly. Well, this is what I said at the beginning of this. You don't get involved in a public, arena and then start saying, oh, I'm not going to speak about it in public. Well, you're creating public perceptions and influencing people publicly. So, you know, fuck it. I'm not going to hold back. I know I'm taking responsibility for what I've contributed to, and I know people are affected. Their perceptions are swayed. They make their own perceptions. They misinterpret things, and you know, I've got to take responsibility for that and always address it anytime I see it. So
Yep, I agree.
yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't care. I've said what I've said. I know my experience and I know what these fuckers have tried with me. So I don't have any respect for them. I'm not going to be friends with them in any way, shape or form. They tried to gaslight me, hooking up with people that were fucking strangers and playing kumbaya and you know, all that with people who were professing to be friends with me. Tried to gaslight me, make me doubt my own sanity, that there was something wrong with me while they're all playing happy families, which was just a pretense, a total facade, because,
Right.
you know, they show it in a video of the kumbaya brotherly love and then it never happens ever again. Well,
Right.
you're jaunting about all the fucking country. It's just as fake as fuck, as far as I'm concerned. So I make no apologies. They can fuck off, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
and that's
You've been a bigger problem with it than I've had, but I've had my brushes with you know, Harry, so I know exactly what you're talking about, you know.
But that's it. So I'm not going to even bring it up again unless, you know, one of these people brings it to me, and then I'll address it head on as always. But as far as bringing it up, I've said what I've got to say and made it clear. No associated, nothing to do with us in any way, shape or form. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, I just want to make that point clear as well. So nothing to do with me.
Aye. So
Right. With that out of the way,
uh,
we can concentrate on some science. You were going through some of the comments.
I was just going through the comments here, mate. I'll need to dedicate a full hangout because there's so many there. I was just going through the ones at the top just while I was waiting you arriving. So,
Right, so
I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to present or.
I've got nothing to present. No, I haven't even managed to have any real time to do it. But there's a couple of thoughts going through my mind that I did want to speak about. So,
Aye.
but we can do it now, or if you want to go through some of the comments still, and I'll jump in a minute, whatever you want.
Carry on, mate. Whatever you require. If you want to just crack on, then go for it.
Well, hold on. Let me get something to drink, and we can start.
I'll just keep so I'll go
Back in a minute.
I'll go to the chat box and see what's being said. Pat Master, how you doing? Moonwatch, Shaz, aka Zach Lelb. People should be angered about the shite they were taught. Also, the fact children are getting taught the same nonsense. Tolerate no lies, but always be moral. Yeah. And this is just what it's about. We don't have to tolerate lies and bullshit. You know? People just, if they start being true to themselves, you know, and stand up for what they truly know in their heart, their gut, whatever you want to call it, and see that through, then things are going to have to be forced to change. But as soon as you start trying to change yourself and force yourself into wee boxes and, you know, shapes that don't fit you, then you're fucked. And it's just going to allow these people to perpetuate their control. So. Read text, Dale. A couple. Is Gav double denim today? Don't be bashing on the double denim, hey. Right? I've been wearing double denim for as far back as I can fucking remember. You try to say I've been walking about like an idiot. You try to say people have been looking at me and laughing at the double denim. Oh my God, I'm affronted. Me being a narcissist and an egotist, you think I would know that? You think I would dress appropriately in order to garner the attention that I require? But no, I've been dressing like a fud, apparently, with my double denim. You've given me a complex now. Let the shite go over your head, Dale. It's hard right enough reading through comments. Well, aye, you know, a lot of the shite I let it go, but when it's shite that's affected me you know, personally in the public arena, then I'm not going to let it go because it's important to me. And if it has affected me in a certain way, I'm going to hear it because I think it's important. We can't let go of the fact that this is massive and that there's going to be certain games being played for whatever fucking reasons amongst us. And when I see things that make me suspicious, I'm going to speak about it. So. Dale, you know turtlenecks are in again. What are you doing? You're just trying to set me up. You're hoping I come on here with a turtleneck. No denim after 30, especially no double width. So for 10 years then. So I was alright up until I was 30. I was cool and I was hip. But for the last 10 years I've been a knob. How are you saying? That's somebody impersonating my missus, is it? Oh, here's a genius. Somebody with the same name as my missus. How is the Earth flat when from space it's round? Oh, well, fucking thanks. Never thought of that. Thanks for clearing that up for us. I never ever thought of that. Oh, so we've got pictures from space and it shows that the Earth's round. What a dick. Not only have I been running about with double denim, you know, I've just missed the point altogether. We've got pictures. A picture is measurable scientific proof. You know, as long as you can produce an image and you have an image, then what's on your image is proof that it's real. What a knob. Do you mean the images from the vacuum of space? The vacuum that coexists next to your pressurized environment? You know, how do we create pressure? We need containers. It pushes equally off every side and fucking blah blah. Oh no, that, you know, that doesn't happen on the bigger picture. Just because somebody's got images, you're gonna have to try harder than that. I'm afraid. This is what makes you think these things are just bots on repeat. I mean, is there really people who think, oh, I know, I'm going to go and show these people who have been here for 3 years, I'm going to go and show them the error of their ways and tell them there's fucking pictures.
Aye, it's pathetic that we still have to deal with the same old arguments after so long, man.
Fucking unbelievable. I'm just going to shut this door, mate.
Aye. I think the one we've talked about before was the lunar eclipse. You know, where they say the Earth casts a shadow on the moon, and because that shadow is curved, then the Earth must be curved, right? And it's such a fallacy, right? I mean, it's not only is there multiple ways to make a curve on the object, right? You could do it not just with a sphere, but with a cylinder, with a disc, right? So it actually proves nothing. But the fallacy is still that you have to actually believe that there's a big space up there. There's already space balls in there, and one of them is in the way of a sun shining light onto to the moon, you know, or the other way around, you know. So it's a circular reasoning.
It's loaded with assumptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you reason from an assumption? You know, you first have to fucking prove your assumptions before you can reason any further. You know?
What we've always said, yeah.
That's too logical. That's too real, I think, Gav. You know, we have to suspend this realism shit and start getting into the realms of fantasy and hypotheticals and assumptions. And
Absolutely. I mean, we have to go to university and get a degree in assumptions.
It's like that fucking dipshit, that GSE character that's still running about professing some sort of victory. But, you know, the sun and the moon and the baby, their assumptions. Can you prove your assumptions? You're not answering my question. I'm asking you. Can you prove your assumptions? No, they don't matter.
Right, and the whole science is full of assumptions.
Yep,
exactly. I think that's still the things that, you know, we need to highlight more and more, and make people see what assumptions they're making, what things they're actually, you know, presupposing to begin with before they start an argument, even when they don't realize it, or if they're deliberately using it, you know.
Yeah.
That's where the exposure still needs to come more and more and more, and the more empowerment we give people to see through that bullshit, to see clearly, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's seeing through the shells or whether it's seeing through the scientific shite that they tell us.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to keep repeating it. But, you know, I have met genuine people who still throw these things at you, so I know there is genuine people that are obviously getting the mantras and the information from the mainstream and think that they're clever and bright, and they throw it at you, and you have to actually lay it out and show them what an assumption is, a presupposition, and point that out to them. And, you know, this is what I'm talking about with the trivium, and understand logical reasoning, and, you know, how the mind's working, how argumentation's laid out for people, you know, but people just, they don't even realise these assumptions, they just take them for granted. And then again, even when you get people who leave the globe and they realise it, they still bring some of these things in with either reasoning, you know, about space and the sun and the moon, and you try to point out and say, no, you're still carrying the programming. You can't make any assessment until you know what these things are, you know. But,
absolutely.
No.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things I was thinking about, basically how to make this even clearer to people, right? You know, I've talked quite a few times about the difference between visibles and tangibles, and a real physical object is something, you know, if I take this for example, right? It's a real physical object I can hold in my hand. I can measure its sides, right? Its length, its breadth, its width, and I can basically compare them to each other and calculate a volume, right?
Yeah.
Now, so measuring a tangible object has everything to do with the relation of its parts to each other, yeah? Whereas if I'm trying to measure a visible object, it has everything to do with the angle that the object is subtending at my eye, right? So, you know, I can see the parts of the top of an object, the bottom of an object, but it's always in relation to this ball in my head, right? That it's in relation to. So that when I'm measuring a visible, it's from my eye to the one end and it's from my eye to the other end, and it's that angle that I can immediately, because of my constitution, I can immediately perceive that there is separation, an angular separation, right? I don't need to know about mathematics to understand that, right? That there is that difference, right? Now, from a philosophical point of view, they try and separate these two things. They try and say that, you know, that visible figure, what you see, has nothing to do with tangible figure. And objects, and that these visible things are all just in your head. That's the, if you like, the idealistic philosophy, right? Where George Berkeley of Berkeley University says, you know, does a tree really make it? Does it really make a sound if there's nobody there to hear it? Only if you see something does it exist. Yeah. Now that's bullshit, because the world exists whether I fucking see it or not, and that should be fairly clear to everybody, right? And it should also be fairly clear to everybody that even though visible figure and tangible figure are two separate things, and you need to be able to differentiate between the two, everybody should be fairly obviously clear that the two things actually do share a physical space, though, right? So the reason I see a visible figure is because there is a real object out there, and I am seeing its figure, with my eyes. And the very fact that my eye is in my body and it has a real distance to that object, means that the physical object and the visible object have something in common, namely that they both are in the same space, right? My eyes in the same space, the objects in the same physical space, and this visible figure that I see is not just in my mind, it has something to do with the external world. And philosophers have tried a lot of ways to try and describe how these two things relate to each other, yeah? Now, my feeling is that they relate to each other in terms of the horizon. And my belief for that is that if I go anywhere straight ahead and I look at something and I walk towards it, then I will physically actually reach it. Yeah? It doesn't matter whether I'm grabbing for a cup of coffee, whether I'm walking to the pub, yeah, or whatever it is I'm doing, I'm going to reach that destination by looking where I'm going and following where my eyes want to take me, right? It's the same way if you would drive a car, you know, you're permanently looking at where you're going, and your actions follow where your eyes want you to go, right? So for me, there's a definite tie-in between the visible figure, which definitely has a different geometry as from the physical substance, but the two things are tied together in that there is this horizon, and we, with our eyes and with our constitution, have a very clear idea of what is up and what is down, right? They'll try very hard to say that, you know, we are orientationless. A newborn baby, they will try to tell us, does not know what up and down is until it actually grabs something. And only then can it relate the visible figure it sees to the real world object that it has. Now, I think that's nonsense, that argument, because everybody knows when they're upside fucking down, right? The fluids in your body will tell you that you're fucking upside down, yeah? So that whole argumentation about visible figure only being an imaginative thing in your head, a concept, and having nothing to do with the physical world, is the way that philosophy has managed to convince people that, yeah, you can stand upside down on a ball and not notice it, yeah, because the things are separated, or they can use imagery, yeah, when they're talking about space and make us believe it, because we're kind of trained, conditioned to have that separation, if you know what I mean, and not listen to our common sense. So, you know, when I see a pilot flying a plane, for example, you know, he has this, you know, attitude flying, he has an artificial horizon, and, you know, forget all the digital instruments. If you're flying a one-man propeller machine or whatever, then you are basically flying on sight, right? You're basically flying to a specific landmark, maybe, that you know, and then you're taking another direction. So we're always following our eyes in visible space, right? And that is taking us exactly to the physical object. Now, all this has a lot to do, for me at least, with perspective and the different ways that you can visualize things. So, you know, as far as I can see, that there's three different kinds of perspective situations. There's the situation where you are very, very far away and you can look down on something and see a whole view of it. Now, that's where they pretend to us that they can go way back into space and look down on a ball. And that projection is where they say light is always parallel. It's called the orthographic projection. The other projection is when you are at the center of something and you're looking at the inside concave surface of a curved surface, which is, from my perspective, the way our eyes work. And the third one is when you're on the surface of something and you have a certain altitude above the ground, where you can then have mathematical laws of perspective, which will tell you how that what you are seeing can also be mapped onto a piece of paper. So these three perceptions, if you like, or ways of perceiving things, or ways of describing perspective, are the three ones that they generally pull up, and they use our, how should I say, the fact that we don't understand these things and how they relate to the eye and how our eye makes the pictures in our head. That's what they're playing on to be able to sell us this bullshit. And if you don't know, how should I say, the differences between visibles and tangibles, you don't know how the eye works and how the eye is getting an impression of a physical object and is actually giving you the sign of that object. And if you then don't know how the eye is making these pictures in your head or these concepts of belief, then that's where they have the ability to tell us all kinds of nonsense. because we don't understand fully and we're not educated fully, and they've taken a lot of the information historically that was available, they've taken out of our curriculums and our education. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying to make this simple, and it's not easy. You know, I find it difficult sometimes to, you know, work my way through all the different terminology and the way it's said. Yeah. But I think what I'm trying to say is that, one, it's really important that people understand that this visible and tangible separation is the way they play on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, if I was to look straight ahead, you've said this many a time, they always play on the fact that you look straight ahead, and the visible phenomena, they'll play on that one, but they never talk about the left to right and where the fuck the curve is. We should see it, right?
Yep.
And that's because they, I think, at least better understand that that's, with direct vision, you only ever see a part of something, right? When you're looking at something and you're focusing on it, you never ever really take heed of what's to the right and the left of you. Yeah. Because, you know, if I'm sitting here looking at this screen right now, I couldn't really tell you where my hand was, right? I know it's there because it's joined to my body, but any other visible object, it's not in focus because I have to look at it directly to be able to get it in focus.
Yeah.
And they know that, and they play on that fact, right? So that they can ignore this idea of having one big view and being able to see the curve from left to right.
Exactly.
So they, you know, that's the way they'll bring that out the picture and have you focus on what's out in front of you.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm explaining this very well, Del. I said earlier that I was having trouble formulating it myself, and I'll definitely come back and do a better one. But where I think people just need to realize is that this side, we actually have a horizon within us, right? That's why we can all very well say that the horizon rises to our eye level.
Yeah. Because
it has to, right? The definition of the horizon, the horizontal, is whatever is at your eye level. And everybody has this hula hoop around them, right? If you stand in a room and you just do a 360 degrees, you will go around once and you will see your horizon, and it will separate the ground and the sky. Yeah. And if you look down physically and your head moves physically, then you can feel that, and you know now that that's the ground you're looking at. And it's the same when you look up, you can physically feel your head raking up, and you know what up is. Yeah. And you know that separation line is basically always at your eye level. Now they can argue against that all they want, but it's pure shite if they try to argue against that, because everybody naturally knows it. They'll bring in then these more sophistry around the philosophical arguments, about visibles and tangibles and about being in your head and all that. But people should really realize that no, you've got to believe what your common sense tells you and understand that. That's the best way to explain. Visibles and tangibles are two different things, but they share the same space, and don't let people tell you otherwise. Exactly. Because if they do, and you do believe that they are two separate things, then they can play on all these conceptual ideas about, you know, images and show you all that stuff, and you no longer relate it to your physical existence, right? They take the direct reality out of the equation, forget to tell you that, yes, you have this physical eyeball, right? You are wondering about seeing things with it, and somehow that gets completely ignored in all their argumentation. You know, all the stuff when they try say to you things like the pole star, Polaris. So one of the biggest arguments is on a sphere, the Polaris will always tell you your latitude. The angle that you sight Polaris at will exactly be your latitude on a sphere. And yes, that's true, right? But it's also equally true if you're on a flat plane and you are further away from Polaris, then Polaris is going to sink, And if you're closer to Polaris, Polaris is going to move up in your visual field, And that is exactly an explanation as their explanation of why Polaris is always at the same latitude. If you imagine the latitude to be the distance from the center of a center point, whatever it may be, then the equations are the same. It works out exactly the same, And they manage to forget perspective and visibles when
Yeah.
they're telling their arguments.
Yeah.
But
and they leave out scale. They leave out scale, just as you say, with the visual perception. That's why you see them making these points of a wee dish and this big star. You know, you should be able to see that from everywhere. But they leave out scale, and it's the same when they show you a wee dish with a light bulb on it. Oh, look, it lights the whole place up. They totally leave out, you know, perception and scale. You know, they've used it before. Oh, you just don't understand the size and the scale. No, I think it's you that doesn't understand the size and the scale. You know, because just as you say, you know, it's everybody can observe these things. Take an object, move away from it, it's going to lower. There's going to come a point where it's going to leave your visual frequency range. You're not going to be able to fucking see it. Doesn't mean it's went down. It's just because it's vanished into the limits of your vision.
Exactly. I mean, that's why they say when you go past the equator, I've never tried it myself, but when you go past the equator, you know, outwards or away from the center point, then at some point, Polaris is on the horizon. And if you go far enough, it disappears, right? But that's just because that object is lowering itself in your visual field. And at some point, the visual angle is so small, it disappears. That's all it has to do with. And then, but they'll bring the argument that it has to do with the fact that it's a sphere, and then they'll leave perspective out of the argument. Now, you can't do that because we all know perspective is there in every moment of our life, right? We all see it. We see planes flying about, you know, going down in our visual field. All these things are there all the time, so they can't possibly ignore it.
It's understood and it's applied, and I keep bringing it up in art and, you know, technical drawing. You know, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective. It is known, it's understood, and it's applied, and it all works on parallel, straight fucking lines. You know, so there's no accounting for curve. You don't see an artist that uses, you know, perspective drawing and accounts for curvature and the distance with curves. It doesn't happen. It's always assumed level. You know, and even going back to what you said about the fluids in the body, you know down, you know up. How can you possibly have that orientation unless you're calibrated from a fucking straight level line?
Exactly, from a water level, or a fluid level,
Exactly, mate. Exactly. You know.
Yeah, but all I can say is, you know, people, if they keep hammering that home, because it takes the whole foundation of their whole mathematical model away from them, right?
Yeah.
That's the only reason they can. If they use a sphere and talk about the real rules of perspective, then their calculations would be a mess. They can only do one and ignore the other to make their calculations fit. If they try use the fact that we're on a sphere and then add perspective to it, it wouldn't work for them. You know, because perspective only works on a flat plane, and perspective is what we see every day. Ergo, hey, it's flat, right? Exactly. Because it wouldn't work on a sphere.
Exactly.
So that's why they have to leave it out the arguments all the time, and then, you know, say, flat earthers can't perspective, and flat earthers have always got some magical perspective that we refer to. There's nothing magical about it at all. It's a fact of everyday fucking life, you know?
Yep. And all their argumentation in regards to Polaris and what you should see is based on presuppositions, assumptions again.
Yeah,
it's a fireball that's trillions of miles up there. You know, all these things are formulated from these assumptions that they're no proven, they've never proved. So, you know, it's fucking bullshit from the earth.
Yep, and that is one of the big ones. I mean, the whole idea of space and being far away is one of their big, you know, that's where a lot of it hinges. Eratosthenes basically hinges on that. It has to be parallel light rays coming from far away, otherwise it doesn't work. Well, their argument for Polaris is exactly the same. So
there's traces of that, which is why through the ages they had to mathematically adapt distances because it wasn't working out. You know, but you know, if you had it accurate and you wouldn't be changing it. All of a sudden, the sun, it's not 1 million miles, it's 10 million, or no, it's 93 million, because they keep having to make things further and further away in order to fit their mathematical concept, their model.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And it's the same. It's the same with geodesy as well, huh? Yep. You know, I've been having quite a few conversations with a guy who's a leveler, surveyor, and basically, the whole argument where they're talking about geodetic spheres and GPS and But basically, all through the hundreds of years, people have leveled with planar surveying, right? They don't do spherical surveying. You have these things built into the equipment nowadays that scale up and scale down according to their mathematical model. And people are just so indoctrinated that they believe it, although every single measurement is done using planar surveying. Yeah. So, you know, it creeps in even there. It's everywhere. It's pervasive, you know, in the whole of science, where they're using the same fallacy basically over and over again. You know.
Yeah. That's it. You know, I even point out these people that talk about surveying equipment, I go, the equipment's calibrated to the level. It's a planar tool you're using. You just don't understand. No, they understand. What's it calibrated to? Level. Level to what? Oh, but it's level because it's equal distance from the centre of the sphere. So now we're getting into redefining what level means. You know, it's just gymnastics to fit their fucking concept. You know.
Yeah, and what they do, you know, in geodetics, you see what they're doing is now that they're moving towards a 2022 new geoid, a new mathematical model of what they say the Earth looks like. And they're basically using all the old planar surveying measurements. They're using that, and then they're trying to retrofit the model using those measurements to fit, right? So that's why they keep coming up with these new datums and new alignments and slightly different, and because as you say, it's all just trying to retrofit things, and they're getting closer and closer to getting it very good. I mean, you know, like 100 years ago, 90 million miles or 10 million miles. Now they're getting it down to 1.6 meters with GPS accuracy, right? So the retrofitting of arguments are getting better and better. And my worry is that at some point, you know, when they've used the measurements to get the model correct, and then they switch to the model, that there'll be nobody left to understand how planar surveying works, and everybody will be born into that cult, believing that GPS and space satellites are right, you know, and that they actually exist, and that's what's measuring stuff. And it's wrong, you know. You can't measure because we all know it's bullshit that's not up there, you know. Exactly. So, but I do worry that, you know, at some point in the future, nobody will know how that works, and everybody will be more easily fooled, you know.
Yeah. You've just triggered a thought there that reminded me. I went through the Clyde Tunnel the other day. Now, I know when you go into the Clyde Tunnel, you lose all signals. No signals. You get no signals in the Clyde Tunnel. But I was using my phone. I was using my phone because I needed directions to get a view at a car. Now, while I was in the tunnel and low signal, the wee blue arrow was still moving in relation to where I was. So is there an orientation? I don't know much about technology, but I've said this to people before. Well, once it's triangulated your position, the map that's built in there must have an orientation so that as you travel, it's just keeping up with your travel and giving you feedback. I went to turn left and right. It's not that you're receiving, you know, information from fucking satellites and stuff in outer space. It's just that the map that's in the phone is set, and when it's orientated a certain position, as you move, it knows what direction you're going. Not because it's receiving a signal from anywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that is the way it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I mean, these things have got a compass built in, and basically they've got a map of where you are, you know, to within a certain range. And it's like, you know, it's like dead reckoning. You know, it knows where you're going based on where you were at that time, and then, you know, the direction that you're moving in. It's got nothing to do with any information it's getting from space, you know.
I think people think that. I think people think they're getting constant feed from external sources that's telling them they're going wrong and stuff. And I've said, no, it's built into the phone. It's orientation from the phone. It knows when you've went off the path or whatever. If you've set the destination and that's laid out a path and you go for it, it knows it's trying to correct you to get you back on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's people that believe that, you know, there's, you know, how there's these telematic systems in trucks, you know, which will tell you, you know, they'll tell you how your motor's doing, what speed you're going at, what your oil pressure is, and all that kind of stuff, you know. There's people that believe that they calculate, or they find out the distance that a lorry travels from one place to another by knowing its start position, its end position per GPS, and then calculating the distance across an arc on a sphere, you know. Whereas, you know, if you think about it really carefully, the sensors for these things are like built into the tires, right? And you only know the distance that the lorry has traveled because the rubber is hitting the fucking road, right? There's a wheel on the road. It's every time it turns, the circumference of the wheel is the distance that you fucking traveled, right? Yeah. And the number of times the wheel spin rounds tells you what fucking distance you went. It's got nothing to do with satellites in space telling you where your first point or your end point was and the fucking arc measurement between it, you know? I mean, come on, people. I mean, that's how far they've managed to remove us from reality, though, Del, and what I was saying about, you know, tangible physical things and this whole idea about visibles, you know?
Yeah, that's
It's crazy.
People are lost in Star Trek, you know? They think Spock's up there fucking tracking their moves and letting them know what's going on. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, absolute nonsense.
But as I say, people can try that. Go into a tunnel or something with your navigation thing on and watch the wee blue arrow will continually move. You know, knowing where you are through that motion. It's not because it's received. It can't be receiving a signal. It's fucking impossible. You know, as soon as you're 5 meters into the tunnel, you lose radio signal. You lose our signal. You know.
Aye.
So.
Aye.
It's pretty much based on us as well, just as you were saying, our orientation. You know, where you look, you go. You know, it's
absolutely. You know, there's no other way to see it. You know, anybody who denies that is fucking, I don't know what to call them. You know, totally deluded. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I'm going to make a wee presentation of that though to make it with some pictures because I feel I didn't do it justice just trying to explain it in words. So.
I know I probably shouldn't have brought it up because I know you said that earlier, you know, that you were just formulating it, trying to get it across the right way, but there's always time to come back, mate, you know, make the points clearer, but I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I will do, because I really do think it's really important, you know.
Yeah.
And especially for, you know, the whole philosophical or academic argument, you know, where people are still, you know, believing in this idealism and not clear about what direct realism really means, right? That it, you know, we're talking here about natural science, about the things that we know we can prove, about things that are self-evident, that deny demonstration, right? I couldn't demonstrate to you, you know, I mean, it would be absurd for you to say, Gavin, prove to me that you're breathing, you know, right? I mean, what the fuck am I supposed to say to that, right? And there's lots of things like that where they try and put the onus of evidence onto us, right? You can't prove that, whereas it's absolutely nonsense to try and prove it, to argue for it or against it. And that's, I think, where, you know, direct realism kicks in, that everybody knows that these things are self-evident. And that's where this whole argument is still lost, you know, where the scientists will come and they'll make these assumptions, and direct realists can stand there quite firmly and say, no, that is self-evident. I know that water can't bend. I know that I've got fluids in me. I know that I'm in a pressurized system breathing at the moment, you know. So, you know, you have to take these things as an absolute fact, yeah? Sure. And if they try and deny that by redefining what density and pressure means or what level means and all that bullshit that they come with, that's where it has to stop. You know, that's where every direct realist has to stand up and say, no. And if you believe that, pal, you're full of fucking shit, you know, because you're denying your own reality. You're denying your own lived life.
And how can you reason with somebody like that? It's impossible.
Impossible. And until they get pulled up to that, and that, you know, to do a round trip back to all these goons on breakfast TV shows that are not getting to the nub of that problem, you know, and it's got nothing to do with being jealous to being on a TV show or anything like that. That all crap. What really annoys me is that they're not getting to the nub of the argument and letting all this fluff still get in the way. Yeah,
exactly. That's my problem. That's my problem as well, mate, because they are being used to represent people like us. And I don't agree with that, you know, because they don't fucking represent me. I certainly wouldn't represent myself like that if I went on there. I wouldn't be allowing them to dictate the conversation. I would be pulling it back. I would be laying out the structure of conversation and how it has to go forward, and no pandering to their bullshit, you know. I don't care. Well, but it's their TV. Well, fuck you. I would be telling them from the off, and then it would be, that's why they're not going to let people like me on the fucking TV. You know, because they know I'm not going to sit there accepting their cack.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And it's the same now. You know, I heard it last night, mate. It's this, you can't prove anything. Just as you say, it's these absurdities. You know, well, away you go and take a big deep breath under the water. You know, if I can't prove that you're going to die, go and prove me that. A deep breath. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that's where, you know, people, that's where we need to still keep pulling them up on exactly those problems. Don't let them get away with it. Don't let them go one step further in the argument and try and distract with crap, right? I mean, it's the same tricks they pull.
It's the same as a mathematical application of formulating and changing. It's the same with the philosophy and what it means to be a human being. If they fuck with that, come up with fucking new ways to deceive people and make them doubt their own sanity and their own very existence. You know, doubt it all because they formulated this nonsense just to fit this concept, this fucking bullshit globe crap.
Yep,
you know?
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
They've been at it in so many levels.
Oh, it's pervasive. Yep, it's in language, it's in science, it's in philosophy, it's even in, you know, the some of the practical things, like the way they're trying to fool us using GPS and smartphones. You know, and we need to pull them up right at the start and not let them get away with it in any argument. And that's all I can give my advice to people is not to. Is to see that and not let them go it that way. You know, don't let them take that route.
No, and that's what, as you say, you know, it's important for the generations that still used and applied these tools. You know, because you know the generations that are being born don't have that. I mean, it was only 30 years ago people were still pulling out atlases and compasses and everything was manual and you know it was done by the human being. You know,
yep.
Now that's all removed. It's just put the wee electronic device on and press a fucking button. You don't even need to think. And then they're going to tell you what's happening with that, and people are just believing it because they don't understand what's going on.
So, that's right. That's why it's incumbent upon our generation or the people living right now to make sure that it doesn't go further than this, you know. That's why I really do feel it's a kind of tipping point, because the more technology will help them, you know, make believe that these things are coming from somewhere else. You know, as you say, pull out a smartphone, I know exactly where I am, and I believe it's to do with satellites in space. Tell me where I am, you know. Yeah. Whereas it's very clear that it's got nothing to do with that, you know. Dead reckoning and navigation and maritime travel was always there, right? Yeah. You know, air traffic control, I've talked about this before, uses cylindrical coordinates to get aircraft going from one column of airspace to another column of airspace, right? Each air traffic controller sits in the middle of that airspace and controls how a plane gets to each one, and they do dead reckoning in between, right? It's got fuck all to do with any bullshit spheres or GPSs, right? You know, but if the next generation that comes, the digital millennials, right, or the digital natives, don't even have that education anymore, then it's going to be really easy for them to pull the wool over their eyes. So that's why it's so important right now for handymen, people who understand these physical concepts. It doesn't matter what profession you're in, to come forward and document and say what they know, because the kids of tomorrow might never fucking learn it, Dale, you know?
Exactly. It'd be interesting even though I've lost touch with it, but I don't even know what the military applications are in regards to orienteering and these types of things where it was all manual. I don't even know if even now the generations in military are being given electronic devices that they just depend upon without having to have any thought in it. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there.
Well, me neither, I couldn't tell you, but I just hope that that the young people of today, you know, see it. And I mean, that's why there seems to me to be a big push. Nobody wants to go into an apprenticeship anymore. Everybody wants to go away and study and learn more theoretical stuff. I was guilty of it myself, you know. And nobody actually wants to be told or learn about the practical stuff. We're supposed to wait until the machines do it all for us now. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, I find it highly dangerous in that most people won't fucking realize, you know, how it works, and they can be told any old nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah. and because it works for them and they're using it, they're just going to believe in it even more, that what they're being told about the mechanical operations there are true, because it works for them, you know, and that's all they require, you know.
Yep.
Oh, I managed to get for A to B, so therefore it must be the way they told me, you know.
Right. It works, so it must be right. Yeah.
You know, they get more sophisticated with their technology. It's allowing them to push it even further, which, you know, people can see it with Hollywood, you know, offering up movie type scenarios and this CGI and how realistic they can make it. You know, it's just going to confuse people, you know. So the technology is moving to a point where it's going to benefit them. The real people that applied these things and understood it, it's important for them to maintain that knowledge and try and pass it on in some way, you know.
Yep. Right.
Aye, it's a big old fucking mess, mate, you know.
Aye, we're in a pickle.
Literally.
Absolutely. But there's no doubt in my mind that, you know, this is a contained system. It's definitely a creation. I'm not going to speculate any further on the motive and intent. But and there's people who know it and are actively making sure that we don't, or that we don't wake up to it and telling us horse shit to control us, you know. So,
and we don't know.
I think everybody understands that now, I hope. And just one other thing. So I'm seeing still a few feeds of videos where the Globetards are trying to announce, you know, the flat earth has gone quiet, that all the leaders are fighting, the funeral march of flat earth, you know. And to be honest, again, that looks to me like desperation, because they know the cat's out of the bag. Yeah, everybody is at least has been exposed to it now, right, and has heard of it. The question is really just, and again, to take us back full circle, you know, what are they being exposed to? Are they being told the correct questions to ask, or are they being given the tools to ask the right questions, right? And that's where I have my issues with people just uploading videos for the sake of it and telling any old horse shite with a lot of mistakes in it, yeah? And not that I'm saying I'm perfect, but I don't go out every day and upload videos to showing all, you know, the mistakes that I would be making, yeah? So, you know, it pisses me off when I see that being wrongly interpreted, and the people out there who are maybe just waking up to the whole thing are getting the wrong information. And platforms like this are not getting any enough airtime, right? Or any bigger exposure.
No, that's shite about infighting. It's not about infighting and fighting for the sake of it. It's a real life experience with strains and stresses and different aspects going on, and people are airing them, people are being quiet about it. You know, there's so many different complexities to this whole thing that it's just because, you know, people raise issues, it doesn't mean the whole thing's going to disband just because Dell in the Shed's got an issue with certain things that are going on. I mean, that's what they'll try and use, though, to try and dishearten and dissuade people. It's just how propaganda's always worked, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they'll even put people in place to do exactly that, to build people up to a point where they think that this person's genuine and real, and then that person will just, you know, go the total opposite 180 degrees and leave people feeling like, oh, what the fuck? Which again is why it's hugely important for people not to be waiting on any gurus or personalities to sort it out for them.
Yep.
But,
absolutely. Think for yourself.
Aye.
Inquire for yourself. Research for yourself. Know what you know. Be a direct realist, you know, and trust your common sense. Don't fucking discern the bullshit.
Exactly. On a more serious note, Gav, I have to ask. Is that a pencil case you've got?
Oh, yes, it is a pencil case I have, yes.
What is on the front of it?
It says on here, Junction Cool Colours.
Ah, right. I was going to say, you know, in high school yet? Yeah.
Well, if I open this up and show you what's inside it.
I can let that go. You're forgiven.
I got given that as a wee present, so. But I don't smoke the stuff, so I'm looking for somebody to give it away to. So.
Right. Cool. I was going to say, it looked like a superhero pencil case. I wonder if you get fucking crayons in there, Gav, telling us you're into maths and physics and you fucking, all you do is colour in books.
Painting my numbers, aye. That was quite good. I got that for Father's Day. It was Father's Day over here in Germany on Thursday, so somebody gave me it as a wee present.
Nice.
They must know something about me I don't, you know, because I would never go near that horrible stuff, you know.
Me either.
But I see, I see somebody was knocking my denims as well.
Aye, we were getting a bit of stick on the fucking double denim. I'm not happy about that.
No, me neither. You know, fucking me trying to look my fucking best here, you know.
I know, exactly. You know, as I say, feeding my narcissistic tendencies, thinking I'm cool as fuck, and really I'm not. I think I would be aware of that, you know.
Well, I see there's some people in the chat saying I should light it up there, but
Right. You don't do that. You don't do that. Yeah.
no, we don't do that.
There's nothing in it anyway.
No, it's just all for show. Yeah. Just
Exactly.
visibles. It's not a tangible object.
Well, I suppose we better get off. I think there's some high-ranking flat earthers will be on. I don't want to be stealing their thunder. You know, I think we better go.
Oh, who's that?
Don't want people to think we're in a ratings war or anything like that. You know.
Who's that? Who's these high-ranking flat earthers you're talking about?
Oh, don't want to mention them. They don't need to be mentioned. They are gods. You know.
Mm. Yes, well, I'm very willing to give up any airtime and I don't want to stand in the way of real truth, you know.
No. Let people go there and be empowered.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So,
Man, it's been a great chat as always. I'm definitely going to do a little better presentation of what I was trying to say earlier on with some visuals to make it clearer. So
Nice.
I'd like to revisit the topic.
Excellent.
Thanks again for letting me come on. It's the best platform on the net. So
I'll let you.
well, you know what I mean. Right, but I want to put it this way: for just being there and the ability to have this platform to be able to air my concerns and whatever, pass on what I know.
Well, I'm glad that you use it for exactly that, mate. And it's the same for anybody else out there. Feel free to use it. This is the thing with people that I think that they're waiting for invitations and the red carpet to be wheeled out. No, if you get something to offer and you want to offer it, by all means, let's have it. You know.
Right.
So I appreciate you step up to the mark. You don't need your arse wiped. You don't need the red carpet, mate. You know. So.
Oh, come on! I've got my denims on. Right. Well, you're going to go back to the comments, or?
I'll be quick couple of minutes, just see what people are saying, and then I'll be off myself, mate. So
right. I'll just go into the chat, say hello to everybody, and
nice one, bud.
Speak to you soon again, my man. Take care, eh?
Go, mate. Catch you shortly, bud.
Thanks, Marshall, and the mods, and Cheeps and Neeps, and everybody helping. So, see you.
Cheers, mate.
Go.
Sure. Open my eyes, Maggie M. Candice Kirk, Station Replaying. How you doing, mate? Cheers, bud. Cheers, Merrill. How you doing, mate? Roused. Thank you. What's all this Cheers Gav stuff? What's going on? Where's my attention? Gav, you're not coming back on here. You're stealing attention from me. I'm not happy with this. So, Marshall, Magumba, Jonah Worms, Des, everybody in the chat, thank you very much again. Gav, cheers for coming on. As always, I'll see you very soon, people. I'll be back. I'm going to do a wee response to some of the comments. I'll dedicate a wee hangout just to get through the comments and see what people are seeing. I doubt there's going to be anything new from any Globe disciples. It'll be the same old waffle, but hey, it'll be the opportunity for us to have a laugh and rip the piss at them. So, cheers, people. I'll see you very soon. Take it easy.